can tell the world.
Hi, I'm Johnny. This is Johnny Likes, the show where I talk about movies that I like. Today I'm talking about yet another movie from the 90s. This one involves an act of violence at a boxing match. Today, Johnny likes Snake Eyes.
Paid for this sewer, baby, and I am the king!
Snake Eyes is a mystery thriller from director Brian De Palma. It stars Nicolas Cage as Detective Rick Santoro, who finds himself uncovering a conspiracy at a boxing match in a casino in Atlantic City. The plot thickens and twists as we follow Cage try to figure out what went down, who did it, and why. Mysteries are always best if you know next to nothing going into them, so I'm going to leave the plot super vague, and that's about all I'm going to say about it. So Nick Cage isn't for everybody. I get that. Like, some of you ducked out as soon as I mentioned his name. That's honestly probably for the best. Nick Cage is at 100% Nick Cage here. And this is the Nick Cage that you won't be able to stand. So if you are one of those folks who can at best tolerate the guy, it's probably best if you just like and subscribe and then move along with your day. Because this movie won't work for you. With that out of the way, I am not a Nick Cage denier. I think he's great. I'm aware of his powers. The way I think of him is he's like a very powerful spice that can easily overpower a dish. But if used just right, he's peak Cage in this. Like he's this cranked to maximum Cage.
You and me, Tyler! Yeah! Go, Tyler! Go, Tyler! Go, Tyler! Go! Go, Tyler! Go, Tyler! Go, Tyler! Whoa! Lincoln, Tyler! Lincoln, Tyler! Lincoln!
Could someone else have played the role that he did and given a equivalent performance? Yeah. Like I can picture Al Pacino in full hoo-ah mode doing the same thing. Or I can even picture Jim Carrey just doing kind of straight man Jim Carrey. Or he could even just do a Nicolas Cage impression, and he would have done the role justice, I think. As good as Cage is in this, as full-on Cage, he's not the only horse in the race here. Or, other people could have played the role. But that's beside the point. I like Cage. I like him here. He's fun to watch. That's the moral of the story. This is one of De Palma's Hitchcockian films, I would classify it as. And I've been a fan of De Palma's work overall. I haven't really liked too much from the last 20 years or so, with the exceptions being like Mission to Mars and Femme Fatale. Those are decent, but everything else kind of gets the Dark Johnny treatment from me. And I find many of his films to have a hypnotic, almost addictive quality to them, as you just can't help but watch. Your blowouts, your body doubles, your dress to kills. They all have this slightly askew feel to them, which I am incredibly drawn to. In this film, De Palma sets up all the characters in a beautifully staged and choreographed, single take, no edit, very long introductory shot, which follows Cage as he makes his way to his seat before the start of the boxing match. As an audience member, it immediately puts you on high alert. You're focusing in on everything, trying to take in all the details, feeling like if you really pay attention, you could figure out how it all fits together. Like, how do the politicians relate to the woman in the wig? How is the boxer involved? What's the deal with the redhead? Is Gary Sinise always this uptight? The single take shot is easily the highlight of the film for me. Like, I'm always a sucker for a big, long, unedited shot, and this one is a doozy. Even if there is, like, hidden edits in there, it's still a lot of long shots meticulously stitched together, and the final product looks great, and it works awesome as an introduction to our characters. I enjoy this type of movie a lot. I'm a big mystery fan, even if I am kind of dirt at figuring out who the culprit of the story is. But I still love them. I still love going through the motions. A film like this is often made by its supporting cast, and this one is no exception. It's got a lot of strong supporting roles here. You've got Gary Sinise, who's here. Carla Cugino is here. Stan Shaw is here. Kevin Dunn is here. And Luis Guzman is also here. Yay! So here's a side note, little personal anecdote for you. So I have a low-level superpower, and that is I can put on two seemingly unrelated movies, and they will have an actor that is in both of them. An example of this is a few years back, I was watching A Nightmare on Elm Street. And then I watched Insidious 3. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street has Lin Shaye playing a teacher for a very brief role. Insidious 3 stars Lin Shaye is like a psychic in the leading role. That sort of thing happens to me all the time. Like, enough for it to be a little bit freaky. And this film was no exception. So I'm watching this, blah, 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 good, it's fun. And then I turn on Jeepers Creepers 3, because I've been watching the Jeepers Creepers movies from the beginning, and now I'm on the third one. Anyway, this movie, Boxer, Stan Shaw, Jeepers Creepers 3, Deputy, Stan Shaw. Does this happen to anyone else, or is it like just me? Let me know in the comments, I guess. Is this my freaky power? Or do other people also have this freaky power? A little bit curious. Brian De Palma co-wrote this with David Koepp. David Koepp is a name that I didn't know until I started this channel. It was during one of my early videos I reviewed The Shadow and found out that he wrote this, along with a whole bunch of other big Hollywood movies that I didn't know he had written, or even that he had a name. Now all of a sudden he has a name. Yes. So, they make a good pairing. The dialogue in this is very snappy and pretty fast-paced. And Cage delivers it in that incredibly Cage-like way that he does.
Oh, excuse me, Lincoln, would you drink a glass of water or something? You're lying so much, your mouth dried up and you're making that smacking sound.
And the story is decent, although I will say the kind of major complaint I have with the film is that there weren't just enough twists for me, and that the ones that they did have just didn't have the weight behind them that I kind of thought they should have. When a reveal happens of a key character or motivation, whatever, the big reveal in a film, you should probably be more like, oh, wait, what? Them? Instead of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. The twists just weren't all that surprising. The cinematography in this was done by a guy named Stephen H. Burrow, who has worked on previous films with both Koepp and De Palma. And this film is full of odd-angled shots, and it also has lots of tight two-person dialogue shots. This gives it kind of a claustrophobic feel, despite the kind of location that they are filming in. We also often feel like a voyeur as we're viewing and overhearing conversations from outside of doorways or like closets, like that sort of thing, somewhere where you'd be eavesdropping. We also even get some point of view like horror movie shots throughout the film, which further lends to the almost voyeuristic aspect of it. While at other times there is almost a dreamlike quality as the camera seems to float around the action, seeming to observe it more than be in it. Gives it a kind of a surreal feel, which is a nice little trick. There's also several examples of the camera moving from observing like a monitor that is showing what's happening in the background in real life, and then kind of switching back and forth, or which further lends to the surreal quality that the film can have at times. Again, another cool filmmaking trick. Now, I really enjoy the look and feel of De Palma's films, and it's exactly little tricks like this that give his films that signature look and feel. The voyeuristic shots, the obsession with videotape and seeing hidden details in it, the odd angles, like these are all classic De Palma staples. Now, I would argue that other people could have played the lead role of Santoro, but if you had swapped out De Palma for someone else, this film would have had a very different feel. So at the end of the day, we get ourselves a well-crafted, excellently shot, and enjoyable thriller. It's also got excellent supporting performances, and the lead performance. It's got excellent performances. How about that? And a good script. The only problem for me was really that once you figure out who the bad guy is, it's just kind of fill in the blanks for the rest of the movie. I enjoyed this film, and I come back to it about every 5 years or so, just because of how well put together it is, and for that opening shot, it just really sets the mood. Honestly, by about 5 years, I've forgotten enough of the details for it to be a little bit fresh, but still familiar. And I think I'm going to rate this a 4 out of 5. Other films to check out if you like this would be Body Double, Blowout, and Mission Impossible. These are all De Palma directed films, and they all have some of his signature stylistic elements in them. Blowout and Body Double especially, but you'll notice them in Mission Impossible once they've been pointed out to you. What would you rate this movie? And what do you want to see me talk about next? Let me know in the comments. And while you're here, if you could do me a favor and like and subscribe, it's just like quick, free, and relatively painless. Plus, pretty sure it helps me out.
Oh, hell, the algorithm.
And thanks for watching me talk about movies for a little bit. And you can tune in next time to see what else Johnny likes.
Hey, hold it, pal. Where do you think you're going?
On the job, sport.
Oh, shit. Sorry, sir.